so we know, yeah, grab a seat, just sit with somebody you don't know. So, I will want to make another point to share with the community. And so that has been keeping me on my feet, toes. I really have to spend my immune system. I can stand here, so I share with me special so welcome to our Educational Justice Community Conversation. I have MCAC for most of you. You've seen this MCAC. We always describe ourselves as a village where everybody belongs. So you don't have to graduate. Once you are in, from 0 to death. So there's no expiring date. It's not any of those programs that you get to a certain age and you get cut off. For us to come and be in a space and connect as humans, human to human. Right? And so we also want to listen and share our stories. So education, I have my own story with my 4 kids. You have your own stories. What you aspire, what are your dreams for education? What does that mean for your family? So we want to share that and listen to one another. Fill the void that exists in our community. We don't always have this space where we come together, so that's why we always want folks come. Let's eat some food, and let's get to know one another. Build that stronger bond, fabric. All right, all those other ones. That is about MCAC. We also have others in the room.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it to present mode. There we go.
So we're gonna like an overview of our time, what we are discussing. But I also would like to invite those who are here with me, right? That are facilitating and hosting this gathering with me, because I can't do everything. When you see,
You do.
and NCS is a village, so that means we do things together. No one person do it all. So I would like to have, is that the two of you talking about the organization?
Oh yeah, I'll just come up and say hi.
All right, so,
Before I say, can I let this person?
okay. All right, so before you, so Zach and Sarah are gonna come and introduce themselves. All right.
Ok. So ella dijo que lo que ha dicho hasta ahora es de MCAC, pero que hay otras personas, otras organizaciones en el cuarto, y van a hablar ellos, ella y Zach, so ahora van a hablar de las otras organizaciones. ¿Alguna pregunta?
I work for Granite State Progress. We do research and communications about issues that matter to people who live in New Hampshire.
Sarah, I didn't get your name.
How did we get?
I didn't get your name. Can you say
Oh,
that?
I'm sorry. I'm Sarah Robinson.
Thank you.
Now you know. My colleague Sandra is right back here. There's Sandra. Hi, Sandra. I focus on public education. So public schools, where many of your kiddos go to school. I pay attention to what happens at the State House and how those things will affect your kiddos and their classrooms. So if you are curious about, if you have issues with school and you're not sure who to speak to, if you want to know more about how decisions are made and how they come down into your kiddos' experience in the classroom, I'm someone that can help you with that. So we have these handouts up front. We also have them in Espanol, and we also have them in Swahili for folks. Hopefully they translated well. My translator kind of didn't give me all of the work that I needed for him to do, but the occupational therapy presentation is mwah. You'll understand all of that for sure. But if you have questions, please don't hesitate to say hello. I'm happy to talk with you. My information is at the bottom of the page here. So you can call me or email me, and translation is no problem. We can figure that out too. I'm always happy to be available to you, so just reach out with any questions that you have.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Anyone else? Who's a kid? Alright, so kids, do you decide what you learn in school?
Yes.
You do? Okay. A teacher told you? Okay. So how do you decide? What your teacher said? So,
Zach Sheehan. I'm with the New Hampshire School Funding Fairness Project, and my colleagues Michaela is passing around papers right now, and Casey over here. And we do similar work to Grant State Progress. We work with Sandra and Sarah a lot throughout the state. A lot of what we do is trying to educate people around the state about how public schools are funded, where the money comes from for public schools, how your taxes are used to raise that money, and what elected officials, what decisions they're making that impact, you know, the types of classes Manchester has versus Concord versus Nashua versus Portsmouth.
I have a question.
Sure.
This program works like you have to different type of events. For example, in Concord, in Nashua too, like a different type of event. The same. Like I know Manchester have a lot of more diversity in that, but I mean Concord can be like one of the good platforms to start doing that as well. As we never done that before. That's what yeah, so this is a good idea, but I'm not, my kid, she's in Concord. Yeah, so even I work here, I can share this with the 6W, because I'm a 6W.
Cindy, let's connect and make something happen in Concord.
Yeah, so this is a bigger idea for families in Concord as well, get their, you know, their system there and then all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm so happy you're here.
Before we go into the, can I?
Oh, time out for translation?
So,
Good job.
Sarah, I have a question. She's saying is this only for district, high school, middle school, or for college as well?
We tend to focus on kindergarten to 12th grade. Right.
alright, so in order for our school to have all that we just shared, that will make a thriving public school, right, for us and our family. So we know that I would like some of you guys to talk about, you know, what is school in America, in New Hampshire currently, what is happening, right? Is it the school the way it's set up, would that allow us to achieve all these dreams that we have listed? What is going on? How can we, with the understanding of what it is right now, what needs to be for us to have a thriving school? So with that understanding, what can we do to make it what we want it to be?
Right. That's the question, right?
What can we do to make it what we want school to be? Right? And make sure that that question is answered so that everybody can actually benefit.
I have a question. It's beautiful to do everything together. Would it be possible to do a small session of this for the Latino community? Not today. I mean,
but in the future?
In the future.
So I'm going to. So again, we can do as many of these things anywhere. We just need to coordinate.
Yeah.
So as MCAC is not just for Manchester, although we have a Manchester attached to it.
Right.
MCA, this, to your point, we can coordinate this conversation and whoever that is not here is missing. Also in Concord, anywhere, we can all host community conversation across the state. So to your point, we can always do that.
Yes.
Just something on calendar, and I'm glad that people want more.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Tip of the hat to Keeley for setting the stage.
All right, so what we're going to do, thank you, Zach and Sarah, for the intro. I believe I introduced myself before I started yapping. I did, right? I'm Keeley Adelene, I have 4 kids.
You are legendary.
All right, so we're going to, again, this is where your questions should come out. We want to engage among ourselves. So Zach and all the other folks who just spray around, sit in a group. So we're going to discuss in a small group. And somebody should be a writer, write questions. So when we come back, we'll answer the questions that we can answer and we discuss things. So what does thriving public school look like for you and your family? So some of you answered early on, who decides? So if the teacher, if the kids, if the parent, if the school district, if the community are the ones that are deciding, so what would that look like for you? So what would a thriving public school look like for you? So what everyone involved in the decision need to be aware of or need to do?
Oh, my bad.
Community to. All right, so well, feel free for some folks to come around so we have a kind of a circle. Okay, some people can come here.
Okay, great. So on this worksheet that we put together, we wanted it to be very simple, something you can keep on the fridge at home and reference if you need to. Public school in the US, public school in New Hampshire, by law, must meet the educational needs of all students. So if you have language learning that needs to happen, if you have physical or learning complications, the public school is required by federal law and state law to meet your students' needs, okay? In order to continue that mission, oh my gosh, Peanut. That's the cutest kid I've ever seen. In order for schools to meet those needs, we all pay for it. I'm not going to talk about how we pay for it. That's why my friends are here from Fair Funding. They'll tell you more about how we pay for school. But what's really important to know is that we don't pay enough from the state. The state expects all of us to pick up the tab for what our kids need, which complicates things, which is why Bedford has really lovely schools, right? Where in Manchester, trying to offer the same education struggles to, from a budgetary standpoint. There's also a tax cap in Concord, or in Manchester, sorry. I'm from Concord, I'm on the Concord School Board, so I will often slip and say Concord, because I'm in the sauce all the time.
Sarah,
Yeah.
does everyone know what a school board is?
That's a good question, James. And for those who don't know, a school board is a group of people that are elected by the community. In Manchester, it's called the Manchester Board of School Committee. There's 9 or 12. How many people are on? 12?
I think 11.
11 now? All right. So there's 11 people that represent different sections of the city. They represent different wards, and they represent the people who elect them. So they come to the table and they make decisions about, when we were talking about who decides what your kids learn, they decide, they approve curriculum for purchase. Teachers come and they say, we want to teach the kids this way. And the school board says, yes or no. They also decide how much money it's going to cost to run all of the schools, how much that will increase your taxes or lower it. They make those decisions. They also are in charge of the superintendent, like the CEO of schools, the person in charge of all the teachers and all the principals. They evaluate that person's job, fire them and hire them as needed. They are the group of people where the euphemism is, the idiom, the buck stops there with the school board. They help to make all of the big decisions. I think of pretty much, that's like the barest of what a school board does. Policy, thank you. They decide how the school is run. So how kiddos are to be addressed, how many kids are there supposed to be in a classroom, all of those kind of decisions. Cindy?
So, the school board ever, know what the family needs? For example, like, they do surveys and stuff like that.
That's
They
a really
know-
good question.
Because, I can say I wanna apply but I'm gonna look out for my kids and what I think it is.
Yeah,
But if you put a survey as a school board,
yeah,
they will actually know what is needed in the community.
I agree.
No fantasizes, oh, that's what I think they need.
Right.
I think if they have that much power, I think there should be a survey for everything that you just said.
yeah, I agree.
Including all the districts,
Yeah.
Manchester, Concord, Bedford, whatever, but it has to be one survey out there to know
Yeah.
what the population actually need, and then they based on that, they can actually
Yeah.
go forward.
I agree. So just to summarize what Cindy said, she thinks that school board members should know more about what community members actually need. And as a school board member, I completely agree. And that's one of the things that I hope folks take away from this, is that your school board members do want to hear from you. They want you to call them. They want you to write an email, approach them in the grocery store, talk to them, and let them know what your needs are, so that when they go to the table, they have your experience with them in their head, right? Those people are your front line to schools, to curriculum. If you have a problem in the school and you want it taken care of fast, talk to your school board member. You can get all of their information on the district website. It's public. It's like Manchester Board of School Committee has its own website. All of their information is right up front. Their phone numbers, their email addresses, all of that. So you should be able to contact them at any time, and they'll respond.
So for those who English is not that, technology is not there.
Right.
So how, let's talk about how can they still get engaged?
Yeah.
So whose responsibility will it be, right? Knowing that we have a very diverse community,
Agreed.
right? To actually ensure that the
Yeah.
voices of the parents, the kids, the community is heard.
I mean, I think about people like you, Keeley. Truly, I think about community leaders. Who are the people that you trust? Who are the people that you talk to? I think of James, who's the president of the NAACP here. Cindy, I think of you. You're a teacher, you're a dance teacher in town, you're prolific everywhere you go. Everyone in Concord knows who you are. You would be the perfect person to speak to in the community and then connect them to me, right? Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, I passed the. My daughter, she has now 19 years old. She's
Okay.
at she's at college.
Yeah.
And she went to the high school, like primary school, secondary, middle school, and high school. Every time I needed in the school for the little programs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they participated in the music, in the high school music, the saxophone, she's very nice.
Yeah.
I participated on one. And this one, I introduced the parents for participating what is the music, the events, everything. I, because my daughter, I need to go.
Yeah.
Right? I participated in the soccer, play soccer in the summer, and registered for my daughter. I am Latina. And you play the soccer the first time.
Yeah.
And it's everything run. I Latina. Hey, my daughter, go, 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 run, shoot, Inky. my daughter, and the partner, the time say she's crossed the plane.
Yeah.
She's coming, mommy, I love you, mommy, I love you, mommy, I don't speak nothing, only the only cause is the boss. You know, and the boy will speak nothing. Yo, what? It's my brother, soccer.
Right? Yeah.
You good. No. Next year,
Yeah.
I registered for assistant, the coach. I went with this is the time I speak.
I love it.
Yeah, every time they introduce the ball,
Yeah.
the soccer,
You can go mommy everywhere to my daughter and people always looking at me.
every time, somebody else.
Yeah.
know with me, I said me, mommy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, in the primary, in the kindergarten, elementary school.
Yeah.
This is a PTO. PTO. What is PTO? I found that one dictionary in New York. What is
Are you guys with us over there?
PTO. Oh, Asociación de Padres de Familia.
Yes.
In the school. Okay, I got it. The meaning of, okay, I got it. I don't understand English and the last time, nothing. But I studied this, everything.
So they didn't provide
everything like the
Yeah.
Americans. Oh, yeah, the associated, the participants, the food for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, I participated. Every elementary, middle school, and the high school participated in events.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In the high school, the last 3 years, the high school invited for me for a workshop. Okay.
Yeah.
Workshop for learn education, the parents, the participate in the community.
Nice. Yeah.
Everything participating, coming, participating. Oh, I need work. I don't have the job. Tomorrow you not say, oh, my son goes, I don't go to the school, the high school, the university, because you know go the conference
Right.
from the teacher.
Yeah.
So this is an important.
I want you to double down on this.
Yeah.
So what you're sharing is the importance of parental engagement
Yes.
in this school. So your story is telling us how being present really support your own students and child's success. And even their self-esteem, right? Knowing that they're safe. We're talking with one of the days we talk about safety.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a translation.
The point is that she came in between work. She first went to Concord for a program that James is part of it to get business support for her. And then she came here and she's going to work. This is a prime example of a female business lady. She has to succeed. So let's invite her to come.
All right.
Give it to a string.
So everyone got one of these that we passed out. And again, I'm Zach from the School Funding Fairness Project. And I think the few things I want people to take away from this is kind of like one more level up from what we were just talking about with the school board and everything we just had that conversation with. A lot of what we focus on is that next level up, which is the state level government. So the state legislature, the governor, the state senate, they're the ones that kind of control how much money goes to Manchester or Concord or Dover, and then that money gets spent on that school. But because the state provides, you'll see at the top in the numbers section, the state provides so little funding that most of the money comes from our property taxes. So that includes, that's included in rent too. So if you pay rent, or if you own a home or an apartment, you're paying property taxes, that's going to public schools. But a place like Bedford or a Portsmouth, they have really wealthy and really expensive houses, so they can generate a lot of money for their schools. Manchester, not so much. Concord's kind of right in the middle. And so what it creates is just one school district to the next have very different amounts of money. And so part of what I really want all of you to kind of take away from this is, whereas the school board level, they might be a little more interested in kind of getting feedback, hearing from their community members. That's not always the case at the state level, but it's really important. And so a lot of times at the state level, policymakers, they're making decisions, not hearing from people that are a parent at a PTO, right? Or have a different perspective or a different, some of the people in the legislature, they were in school 50 years ago, right? And so they don't know what the school is like right now. And they don't know what it's like to be a parent. And so it's really, really, really important to engage with them, and that's a lot of the work that we do. So they might not be quite as willing, but they're very accessible. All their information is public. You can call them, email them. But from the pieces here, I just really want folks to kind of take away that because the state gives so little money to our school districts, it relies really heavily on us to raise that money, and it just creates these really deep disparities where Manchester and Bedford and Portsmouth have very different things they're able to afford. So that's really kind of the big picture, and hope you find this helpful.
That's really good, Zach. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
What can a community do to enhance the revenue that comes into it for educational purposes?
Yes, great question. So the question is, what can a community do to enhance how much money is coming from the state? And I think twofold. One is, that's part of what we exist to do, is to help connect people from around the state with legislators to advocate for a certain bill. So there's a few bills going through the House, through the State House right now, that would give a lot more money to schools around the state. So that's the first piece. And on our website, we have the bills there, how you can contact your state representative. And then the second piece is asking people running for office, so people that want your vote, ask them, what are you gonna do for my schools? You don't have to have all the answers, but ask them, how are you gonna help?
Yeah.
How are you gonna get more money? How are you gonna make sure Manchester gets resources that Bedford has? If
Yeah.
they're asking for your vote, they should be able to answer those questions. So
Yeah.
I think those are, probably the most direct ways to use it.
If you are in school, what is occupational therapy? It's just one example of services that are available in public schools. So how do you make
Do you want to say English, Spanish, or
English? How do you make sure that? So this is just one example. There's other services that is available. We're talking about funding. How do we ever pay for services like this that are available in the school so that our kids can get what they need to be the best of themselves? So, Jenny,
are you okay with me doing it?
20 services in a school that your kids could qualify for. So, what is occupational therapy? Or you might hear OT. That's like the shorter acronym for it. So, an occupational therapist works with people to get them back to doing the things they want to do, they need to do, or they have to do, as a general sense. Okay? And they also help people develop new skills. So when we're talking about a school, this is specific that OTs help students with the school stuff, right? So how they learn, how they interact, so social participation kind of thing. So we'll work alongside other professionals teachers, social workers, things like that, to help a child reach their fullest potential. Okay? So those school-related activities, they're actually a lot broader than you think. It's not just with, doing homework, okay? It can range from like fine motor stuff, so how they hold a pencil, or how they, manipulate certain things within the classroom, to like gross motor stuff, so like playing on the playground. Your kids have difficulties with that. Or gym class, or sports. So that can be like coordination and strength. Or even just planning how to do those movements, because some kids struggle with that too. Emotional regulation is a huge thing. So this would be helping a child manage frustration, losing a game or struggling with a homework assignment, struggling with the environment of the classroom, who they're interacting with. They can help your kids be more organized and develop a routine, which for some kids that really helps build in that structure. There are kids that have sensory issues. I don't know how aware everybody is with this, but there are a lot of kids that the way their mind processes the sensations we get, they don't process them the same. And so for some kids, this can be really painful. So bright lights, loud classrooms, the seat they sit in, it's not just uncomfortable, it's actually, it hurts. So an OT can come into the classroom and kind of help design their area, or maybe move them, shift them in the classroom, so that when we're talking about that whole safety piece, if a kid has this input that's just so intense, they're on edge all the time. This hurts. They can't learn. They can't focus on this stuff. So if we can change a little bit about that and make it easier for the child, that makes a world of difference. Also like say children with ADHD, so attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, they might find it really hard to sit still in a classroom. So we can do adaptive seating or adaptive desks to help them stay focused so they can engage. It levels the playing field, right? Like if your kid has these difficulties, we want to make it so that they still have that accessibility. All the way down to, special pencil grips. So if they just can't manipulate things the same as all the other kids, like there are a million things that we can do. And we do this all while collaborating with teachers, and other professionals within the school. And I would argue that, when we get into how you qualify for these services, there's a huge involvement with parents. And the argument would be that there should always be involvement with parents in all the school settings, but this is one way that it's written into the rules and regulations that a parent has to be involved. So, okay. So who receives OT services within schools? You can get OT services for your child outside of school with a doctor's prescription. But inside of school, your child either has to have an IEP, which is an individual education plan, or a 504 plan, which will go into what those mean, okay? Now, New Hampshire has 14 categories for why, your children would qualify for this. And that might be autism, if they're deaf or blind, if they have a developmental delay or an intellectual delay, if they have a learning disability, so like dyslexia or, something like that, a speech or language impairment. They can have it because of things like a traumatic brain injury. That affects how you learn and how you process things. Or say like an orthopedic condition, like cerebral palsy, where maybe you can't walk or participate that way, the same thing. A 504 is a little different. This is, instead of needing an actual individualized education plan, where somebody comes in and says, your child does not learn the same way, they need a whole team of people to come in and help build the structure around your kid and specialize this around your kid. A 504 means maybe they just need some extra services. It's hard for them to pay attention in a classroom, or maybe they have some sensory needs, but it doesn't come to the level of needing a whole separate type of education.
Yeah, Jenny. So my son, who's out there, 24-year-old, I put a 504 in place, unfortunately, because he was the only black kid and he was taller than his teacher. And so the seat, where the student will sit on was too small for his long legs. And so I have to put a 504 in place so that they can give him a special seat, because when he was sitting in there and it was,
Right, yeah,
then
uncomfortable.
it was put into, okay, it's a black boy, and black boys, they would call into school and give me statistics of black kids ending up in jail and prison, and he was on that pathway to jail. And so I said, can I come into the classroom? And I noticed that the seat needed to be modified. He was the only black kid, taller than all the kids, so he's giant and he's scary, and the stereotype of the big black boy, tall boy. And nobody was his friend. So all that, we have to put 504 in place, give him a better seat, have him sit in front so that he can hold his leg without touching any white kids, and then don't have to get in trouble. And also have him be the leader that take classroom papers to the office, so he feel included.
Right.
He feel like he's part of this class. The teacher be a body to him, because none of the white kids, they were all scared of him because he was black. In New Hampshire, and this was like 20-something years ago. So I say that.
Example of
Yeah.
how this can work for you guys.
So different situations. So if you're having any issue, 504 can be put in place.
Yeah.
Right.
And
If your child takes longer on an exam, if they need a quiet space to take a quiz or something, that's what that, and that carries all the way through college. So if they have one in high school, it can carry through into college, and they still get those same supports and services. Okay? I went to school with a number of people that they're, just as intelligent as everyone else. They're in college, they're doing well, but they can't take an exam in a regular exam. So they get put into a room by themselves where they can focus, and they get a little bit longer so they can do this. So those are all supports that you guys by law, your children, get through the school. So then we'll go into, we can go up. So your child's rights. So IDEA is an act in law that ensures that children with an identified disability will receive special education and other related services to address their individual needs. Okay, so they're guaranteed free appropriate public education. They're guaranteed appropriate evaluations, which include OT. And they will receive an IEP with parents and teachers involved. So if your child gets an IEP, you are an integral part of that team, okay? And the key to this is that you are guaranteed, your child is guaranteed this education in the least restrictive environment. So just because your child may have a disability does not mean that they need to be in a separate classroom. The school needs to work to try to keep them in the mainstream classroom as much as possible, okay? Because that's where our kids flourish and build community, right? That they're included in that space. So your kids have that right to stay in it. So I just wanted to make that point really clear too. Yep, so the overall goal is to.
It just came on there was his phone.
Okay. And I'm done. I just any questions on what occupational therapy does, especially in the school system for your kids, or anything on the laws or things that you guys are guaranteed.
Thank you, Jamie. That's really helpful, truly.
Hopefully, I know it's like a specific, one service, but the same laws and regulations protect with social work, with speech therapy, all of those things that your kids can have. So,
Yeah.
same things apply.
I didn't know a lot of this.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ah, thank you.
We can try to write it out. So I will write this out. If you don't think we have your contact, there is this on the table to scan and fill it out. Or write it out. And so quick, what is your takeaway from this session?
The food was awesome.
All right, write that down. So would you come back for more conversation like this?
I would.
Yeah, I would.
Okay. See a lot of knowledge. Are you gonna come back with more of this kind of, yeah? So it's meaningful. All right, so, Zach and those of us who've been planning this, if you want to come up, and we just want to thank everyone.
Yeah.
Zach, come up. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Will you hold the space, right? Yeah. A round of applause for Relay.
So thank you all for coming. I want you to take food with you. I cook all that food.
Yes.
So take it with you. I don't have any young kids at home. And I'm going away on Monday. So
Yeah. Take all the food with you.
So take all the food. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you all for being here. So grab some food and then we'll head out.
Yep.
You have something to say back?
Oh my gosh, multi. I know.
1, 2, 3, smile. Keep that smile.